Hi there, this is Pat, and I thought I would just run through the midterm for ITNET 110 and just kind of highlight what you have to do. So basically with the midterm, it's kind of like the second assignment where you had to get two Windows 10 machines to ping each other. You're going to start with those two Windows 10 VMs, virtual machines, and run through a bunch of activities and add screenshots as indicated. So basically, what I'm doing here is what I typically kind of do in my face-to-face class. So I've got my copy in the midterm. If you're a student, you're going to end up at this point here, and then what you're going to want to do is make a copy of it. File, make a copy, and this would be, Pat Fader's midterm. So once you've done this, you now have a writable copy of the midterm that you can add screenshots to and things. Also, I found that Chrome works better than like Internet Explorer, so I'd recommend using Chrome for this activity as your browser. So as we scroll down here, you'd want to put in your important information about the project, and if you're working with a partner, let me know. You only have to submit one of these if you are working with a partner. So let's see, I've got VMware Workstation running already. And I have the two machines. When it comes to working with the virtual machine, let me just resize these here. When it comes to working with the VM, I would say make sure that if you got my virtual machines, I'd recommend that you snapshot them to kind of get them back to a known state. Okay, so I've got this VM size in my recording window. I'll hit VM, let's see, virtual machine, fit guest now. View fit guest now. There we go. Let me log in here. Oh, so what I did before firing it up is I just went into my snapshot manager, and I just went back to Windows Setup Complete, and I hit the Go To button, which kind of reset the machine back to a known state. So turn it on. Oh, log in rather. And now what you're going to do is you're going to run through the midterm and add screenshots as indicated. So the first one basically has you go and change your machine names. Okay, I can do that. So I think I can. There's a bunch of ways of getting here. I could just rename the machine. W10-1. Next. I'll restart later. But once you've done this, you could take a screenshot of this window here showing me that your machine name changed. And I think I've got a student midterm here. He did it. So here's his machine showing me that he changed the computer name. All right. Basically, once you find out, once you get the screenshot that you want, figure out what you want to screenshot. I use Snagit, but you could use the snipping tool too, the Windows snipping tool. And you just grab a shot, what you want. Good. Could even highlight it for me, so that way, Pat, this is the answer. Edit copy, and then go to your copy of your midterm, and add a screenshot for each computer. So here's the first one. Paste it in there. All right, that's the first one done. All right, so you get the idea. Next thing, determine the edition and version of Windows 10-1. I'm not going to do every activity. I just want to give you a good start on this. So we saw in that previous that the edition is Windows 10 Pro and the version is 1703. So that's kind of the answers to that question. And is there a newer version available? You'll need to research this answer. So basically, this is one of these cases where, ask Google Windows 10 versions. All right. So it looks like on October 8th, 2018, version 1809 got rolled out. So there you go. So you could add your is there a newer version available? If so, how would you update it? So it's it's version 1809, and I would go to Windows Updates or whatever you do to update a Windows client machine to bring it up to the latest version. I have you changing some IP addresses. I have you doing a little bit with a little bit with PowerShell. So the beauty of having VMware tools installed, I should be able to copy that command, which turns off our firewalls. Essentially what's happening, it's a PowerShell command that takes domain, public, and private network profiles, firewall profiles, and turns them to false. So if we go to our Windows 10 machines here, let me think here. Open network and sharing. Let's see here. So we have different, I think it's called like network awareness, but we have basically, you know, if this machine was like a laptop or something, it would be more, these would matter more, but we have different profiles. We have a private profile. Typically this is something that you'd have at home. If your laptop though, and you connect up at Starbucks, Windows would notify you saying, hey, do you trust this network, yes or no? So anyway, so we have different network profiles, and we want to turn the firewall off for the really just the private one, because that's our current profile. These settings here are what's currently affecting this client machine. So I could do it one of two ways. I could go to Windows Firewall, and I guess turn Windows Firewall on or off. You can see right now that currently the firewalls are turned off for both our private and public settings, but if they were turned on, all right, now they're on. That's bad. And the reason, well, I'm gonna run the Windows PowerShell as an administrator here. I like using the ISE. It's kind of cool. You'll see it in a second. And there's a place to put your scripts on the top. Just paste what I have in there before. And then once you have what you want, you can just kind of hit the run button. This here will run the current line. This would run everything in the script, but I'll just run this one line here. It's done. If I go back to my firewall settings, you can see that they're turned off. Anyways, we're zooming along, and let me just kind of talk through the rest of it. All right, so add a screenshot. Oh, use a PowerShell commandlet test connection to verify connectivity. So my thought is that you are going to look at these articles and figure out how to use test connection to essentially ping. This is kind of like if you're familiar with ping. We're going to have the two machines verify that they can see each other, so they can ping each other. Normally, I guess for testing and stuff, I'll turn firewalls off, but if this is something that was more a machine that I was going to use, I would turn the firewalls back on again and figure out just what ports need to be enabled to allow the firewalls to be off and only allow specific or certain kinds of traffic. But for now, firewalls off. I have you doing some stuff in disk management, creating partitions or shrinking a partition, making a new partition in part of your free space. So after you shrink the C drive by 50%, you have about 30, 40, 50 gigabytes left. So then I have you create a partition in that free space, ask you a few questions about it, and my thought on these are you can just try it out. After you've created it, right click on it and see if you can extend it, see if you can shrink it. So that'll give you your answers for question 8. I have you reading up on some more PowerShell commands and or disk part. I like using PowerShell more, but basically try to run as an administrator. So you saw how I did that before, when I fired up PowerShell. Again, you can run the ISE or the just console, right click on it, run as administrator. So this gives you administrative privileges in here. And then I have you deleting the partition that we just created. I have to apologize, my voice is kind of scratchy. I'm just getting over a cold right now. So have you creating a mounted volume. So essentially what you're going to do is you're going to create a partition on some of your free space, and you're going to mount a folder to it. This has been around on Linux for years, and now you're just going to, Windows has it, and you're going to do it. This one always throws students for a loop, and I'm going to demo a part of it. So you're making a folder called ITNET 110, and I want you to kind of change the default permissions. And I don't feel bad showing you this because I did show my face-to-face students it, so it's got to be fair, right? So if we go to the C drive, I have you making a new folder called ITNET 110. whatever. We look at the NTFS permissions on it, properties and security, and you see right now like authenticated users and users both have access. So basically an authenticated user is if you can provide a username and password, you are going to have the ability to read and write information in this folder. If you're a user, which is kind of odd, but this is kind of redundant here, the users group it doesn't necessarily say that you've been authenticated. It's just essentially saying that you have an account on this machine. But if you're a user, you can read. So, well, heck, if you log in, you're going to get the combined permissions of this and this, which is so essentially going to give you modify permission. So the difference between, like, if I unchecked modify, you can still read and write and create files and folders, but modify gives you the ability to delete some of the things that you wouldn't have otherwise. And obviously, if you're an administrator, you're going to be a member of 3 groups. You're going to be a user, authenticated user, and administrators group. But you're going to get the most permissions, the sum or the cumulative permissions of all those. So you'd get full control, which means you can do anything. So I got sidetracked. I think the question was something like change the permissions so that your system has full control and administrators have full control. So here's the secret: advanced. Disable inheritance, convert the permissions to explicit permissions. Okay. So now if you look, the check marks have become like darker, and I can now edit them. So I'm going to edit, and I'm going to remove authenticated users and users. So at this point, what we have is the only users that can access this folder are users that are part of the administrators group. If you make a plain old user, she will not be able to access this folder. Okay. Yeah, questions 13, I kind of have you trying that out and saying, hey, can Pat create a folder in ITNET 110? Why not? I think I just said why. Then you make a new group called instructors. You stick Pat's user account in there, and you give the instructors group some permissions. Then I ask you, now can Pat create the folder? Well, you'll have to figure that out. This one I want to show you too. 16 has the potential to throw you for a loop. I want you to download an MSI file, which is like installer file for Windows. So let me just click on this here for Chrome. All right, so I don't want the bundle. Everyone was getting the bundle. Let's go down a little bit further. You want to just get the Chrome browser MSI file. Let's download it. I accept. And my phone's on fire, if you can hear it. Okay. So now, because I have VMware tools installed on my virtual machines, oops, I don't want that. Let me just kind of make some room here. All right, show in folder. I've got stuff all over the place now. All right, so this is my download folder. So it's because I have VMware tools installed, I should be able to drag and drop content from my physical host computer, wherever that window went. Ay caramba. I should be able to drag stuff from here into my VM. So go, it's working. It's on there. All right. You'll need administrative permissions to copy stuff to the root of the C drive. Sure, it's fine. Okay, so now on my C drive, I've got this file. So C:/, if I click on properties here, we can see let's see what we get here. Wow. The file is C:/ this long name here, and there's actually there we go. This long name.msi. So it's an installer file. And I know in the test out curriculum they kind of walk you through, but essentially I want you to use I want you now to install Chrome from the command prompt. So this is the installer file, and I show you in the midterm wherever it went. Let me start closing windows. I've got way too many open here. I think it's here. Good deal. Okay, so add a screenshot showing you've copied the MS file to the root of the C drive. There's your screenshot, which should look like this. Now if you run this command here from the command prompt with administrative privileges, or you can run it from the PowerShell console, it will install Google Chrome. So the mistake that students make is you need at least one space here between either, like, these are called switches here. So this is like a /I think. You can just copy and paste this. Again, you can copy and then go to your VM. We'll go into that PowerShell ISE because that's, and let me just paste it. There it is. I put a whole bunch of spaces in just in the midterm just so students would see that there was a space there, but all right. So you run this and it should install Chrome. Amazing. All right, you can figure out a screenshot for that. You can figure this out on your own. And question 18 is, I just have you share a folder and show me that the shared folder can be accessed on the second computer. So that's the midterm in a nutshell. I hope this was helpful. I was trying to prevent you from just kind of spinning your wheels, getting frustrated on things because of just poor explanation on my part in the midterm itself. The idea of these midterms, the reason I created it really is just to get students to spend more time with the Windows 10 operating system. I also wanted you to go out and kind of figure some things out on your own. So as opposed to giving the steps, I just have you kind of reading up and figuring out how commands work. Quite honestly, that's most of what IT is going to be for you in the field. You're going to be assigned a task, new technology, and it's going to be your job to figure it out and get it working. So that's kind of why I do things the way I do. So I hope this was helpful, and have a great day.